This has been a very rough 2 weeks, and I know that that's something I don't need to say to the two of you or any sense of it. And so I think that would be a great place to start is as you're comfortable sharing, can you just articulate what your experience from this last week has been? What have you personally just been feeling, your thoughts, your emotions, good, bad, and the ugly? How would you describe it?
So, Bobby, I have, probably like you and Ernest, been on emails and texts nonstop.
Yeah.
But something happened this weekend where I had a huge ball of emotions, the way I would describe it, all hit me at one time as I continued to look at the video of what happened with George Floyd. I started to have anger mixed with grief, mixed with frustration, mixed with fear, because I'd already thought from Ahmaud Arbery's episode in death, wow, that easily could have been me out on a walk, out on a run. But then I realized that easily could have been me with a knee on my neck. And so I wrote to somebody, it's like trying to unravel this yarn ball or this ball of rubber bands to try to figure out what's going on with my emotions right now. And it's like every time I peel a band or a piece of yarn, there's a straight pin sticking out at me. But I've got to unravel this, but it's one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do.
I think the complexity of the imagery of that ball of rubber bands is fitting. I mean, I think it's everything put together for me. Everything just seems to be compounded. When Ahmaud Arbery was violently killed 2 months ago, that Friday I went for a run in his honor. It was his birthday, and I decided that there's a lot of that instance to me just spoke to the sickness of our nation. And I was just struck by the fact that we've got unaddressed the symptoms of the underlying issue of racism, the sin of it, the death of it has been unaddressed for so long, and it was the kindling that finally erupted into this moment. I hate to be, to use a secular idea, but it's fitting to think about the Dark Knight and the Joker. The Joker said, look, man, all societies need to descend into total anarchy is just a little push. And George Floyd was that little push to take all of the last 3 months of COVID, of economic downturn, job loss, and the like, and give it a push. Prior to all of this, we all were facing various challenges. I have my own challenges. I'm transitioning. And so I'm thinking about that. I was rather stuck, not knowing what to do, and not knowing necessarily where to turn. I turned to scripture, spend time in prayer, but again, I think that this has been a very unique time for me, unlike any other.
Well, you're both married, you have families, you're both part of church communities. How is this impacting your families? Let's start there. How has this been impacting your families?
Well, as I just mentioned, Pam and I have 5 adult children, including 2 who are adopted. Our sons are adopted. We don't hide that, but they're just our children. But we have a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old. They're both over 6 feet tall. And of course, our thoughts immediately went to one of our boys being out on a run, or one of our boys being out where he is suspected of doing something wrong and has a confrontation with the law. We've written to so many friends to say, please pray for our youngest son that he won't get out there with the rioters. It's not that we don't want him to be part of the protests for justice, but we don't want him out where the rioters are doing something unwise and then find himself facing the law and possibly be harmed to the point of a lethal situation. This is a real concern for us. George Floyd's mother and Ahmaud's mother did not wake up on each of those days thinking, this is the last day I'm going to see my son. We don't know when that's going to hit. Surely death is coming to all of us, but we don't want it with the injustice association there. And so we've had to really think through, ask lots of people to pray and reassure ourselves that the Lord is the one who has to watch over our children.
Yeah. Thankfully, we have each other, right? I do think about the reality that my boys and my oldest boy in a couple of years will be an African-American male navigating Chicago. And that does give me pause and fear and the like. And I myself, you know, I live on the south side of Chicago in Beverly, and a block away, there's carnage, there's destruction from the recent riots. I mean, I can see this in real time right around in my neighborhood. And I think about that because it's where we live, and you want your home to be a place of respite. But right now, the uncertainty of it all makes us all want to just stay locked on lockdown and not venture out too much. So it's created the dynamics have been good to be together, but it's also created its own tension as well for our family. We're thankful that we have each other.